they want to learn about FinTech Hive. I get some older individuals who want to mentor and give back. For them, I say, hey, we run a community. We do monthly events, of course, COVID-19 pending. Once that is over, we'll be able to host these monthly events in our co-working space. And I would say to everyone, just follow us on LinkedIn. We tend to always post all activities from a community nature that take place on FinTech Hive up on our LinkedIn page. And for those of you who don't know, we're actually a part of the D IFC Authority. So we are not just centered in the Dubai International Financial Center, but we're a part of it. So we're ultimately owned by the government of Dubai. For those of you dialing in from abroad who are maybe not familiar with Dubai, D IFC is the financial district. In fact, it is arguably the financial district center of the region. We have thousands of companies licensed and registered here, FinTech or otherwise, regulated or not. And our regulator, the DFSA, is an independent regulator. That goes a very long way for those fintechs looking to be international, because it means that the person providing them their regulatory approval is independent of any business biases. Now let's go on to the focus of the accelerator program, now that I've given you an overview, which is going to be the objective of today. To begin, I'd like to tell everyone here the benefits of participating in the accelerator program from a startup point of view. Now, any fintech is always looking for access to an investor network. The D IFC has a $100 million fintech fund. In addition, I have countless VCs, angels, and investment companies reach out to me wanting to see who are the best and brightest of fintech here in the region for them to invest to. They utilize our cohort arguably as a pipeline funnel. Second thing that we offer is access to institutional support. So we have over 60 institutional partners who provide our startups a range of things from legal workshops to tech solutions. And we extend this offering not just to the companies who are in the accelerator program, but also those who are a part of the co-working space. Third is networking. So as I mentioned, FinTech Hive runs community. We do community events. There's constantly people coming in and out of the co-working space, and the opportunities to meet people are endless. We also have a lot of government entities often reach out to us saying, hey, we're running a trade show. We'd like a delegation of fintechs, and we're always very happy to nominate and create that bridge and opportunity. Fourth is access to a co-working space. So you as a fintech, as a one-man show or a four-person show for an office, can have an office here in the DIFC and really have it be a hub out of which you can operate. We do have regulatory support. As I mentioned, our independent regulator, the DFSA, has a regulatory sandbox called the Innovation Testing License. And last but not least, marketing exposure and support. We really market all of the fintechs who come through the FinTech Hive, and that helps them ultimately get access to investors, the market, media buying support, and whatnot. As I've said, we've accelerated over 85 companies from all over the world. The objective of this slide really is for you to look at the flags. The companies do come from all over the world. Yes, we have a very strong GCC representation here in our programs, but we have companies who come from North America, all over Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, and so on. And we scout across all areas of fintech, whether it's conventional fintech or Islamic fintech. Islamic, of course, being whether you offer just a Sharia window or if you're an end-to-end Islamic fintech. We also have a focus on insurtech. We work with some insurance companies who are looking for innovations in that space. And last but not least, RegTech. So any kind of a regulation technology platform that works with both banks and insurance companies alike. Now on to what 2020 looks like for us. We are currently scouting, and amidst all the precautions for COVID around the world, our scouting has been moved to be 100% digitally. That means that I still speak to every fintech who is looking to apply to the program. We are going to do all our preliminary interviews via video and come up with an interview shortlist which as a round 2 will go through our panel of banking and insurance sponsoring institutions. This right now is scheduled for 30th of June to the 2nd of July to take place in Dubai. It is optional to fly to Dubai if you live outside of the UAE. If you live in the UAE, we require you to come in person. And of course, closer to the time, if all of this needs to be done digital, we'll inform all of our startups in light of COVID developments. But our program is actually set to start this year, mid-August. August 23rd to be exact. So we're going to spend the first 2 weeks really getting you ready for the best business development you're going to do here in the region. So this is going to be a combination of kickoff as well as a boot camp. So within these 2-week periods, we're going to give you access to our ecosystem partners who are going to give you the toolkits you need to grow in the region, whether it's information on the regulatory overview, legal frameworks, HR frameworks. We also help prepare the pitch decks that you're going to use in the speed dating phase. So this brings me on to speed dating. This is effectively the business development that is going to set the tone for the rest of the program. Now, we run this program in collaboration with the banks and insurance companies here in the region. They're doing this in order to mentor our fintechs, as well as develop proof of concepts with them. And the way they do this is they first speed date you. So during this period, every day we go to one of these partner organizations in order to meet the stakeholders in that entity. And the idea is really to go one level beyond just the head of digital and innovation who would have interviewed you, but to meet other stakeholders in the organization who you as a fintech may need to work with in order to grow. This can range from business heads to op heads to tech heads, to even legal heads sometimes. And then at the end of speed dating, my institutional partners will tell me who they want to work with, and you as fintechs will tell me who you want to work with, and I pair you up. And then you will embark on the mentorship period of the program, which is really the bulk of the program. And the idea behind that is that if you need to receive mentorship, you get the mentorship from the industry. If you need to do a proof of concept, let's say you're a B2B company, the opportunity is there. The resources from the banking side have committed to be available during the program, and you, the fintechs, are here in the UAE committed to deliver something. Now, this all gears up to Investor Day. Investor Day is our term for demo day. It tends to be a very big event where we put you up on stage in order to talk to everyone in the public audience about your achievements on the program, not just you as a company. Now, really, we use this as a deadline for anyone working on proof of concepts. So it's a very good opportunity to say on stage what it is that you were able to achieve within a 3-month period as a part of being a part of the D IFC FinTech Hive Accelerator Programme. Now, as I mentioned, we work with the industry. Now, I have up here the list of the banking and insurance partners we worked with last year on the 2019 Accelerator Program. The 2020 partners list is yet to be published, but these were the companies our fintechs worked with last year in order to seek benefits during the program, whether it's mentorship or POC support. Now, I mentioned that we'll take you through a bootcamp period in August. Effectively, all the logos you see here are logos of the institutions we work with during bootcamp in order to provide you everything you need from a toolkit point of view, whether it's how to pitch to VCs one-on-one, to legal support, one-on-one clinics, to what have you. We tend to actually publish a schedule of the bootcamp to the fintechs who've made it onto the program soon before the program start date. And as I mentioned, for every fintech who's accepted onto our program, we give them complimentary access to work out of our co-working space for up to 2 people within that company. Our co-working space is actually quite vibrant. We recently moved into a much bigger space here in the DIFC, and as you can see from the pictures, it's a multi-purpose space. We host all of our events here, so the idea is that you can really be there in that one place and get all your work done. We also have private, quieter desks to work on should you need that. Now, I can't stress enough, we really market the fintechs that come onto our program. Saying that I'm a FinTech Hive Accelerator finalist is a big stamp of honor here in the region, and I know that a lot of our fintechs leverage that. So we tend to distribute a lot of emails to our database of over 6,000 people with your logos on it. We have lots of events where we really propel you. We also do a lot of print, social media, advertising. Your logo goes up on our website. It really is a fantastic opportunity opportunity, kind of gearing up to the program. And of course, Investor Day in itself is a very big opportunity for you to shine. You get some time on stage. There's always networking opportunities as well as booth space for you. So I really encourage anyone, in case you're raising a round of funding, invite everyone who's looking to invest in you to this big day. They get to come, watch you do a live demo, perhaps speak to some of your banking partners during networking and so on. Now, I'd like to take you through the evolution of our cohorts since 2017, as well as what each cohort has been able to achieve. Now, we do this program annually. The flagship program was in 2017. It was our first cohort. Humbly, in our pilots, we had over 100 applications and accepted a cohort of 12. Now, we had 6 POCs come from that cohort. Naturally, in 2018, which was cohort number 2, the cohort grew with our popularity. So we had over 300 applicants that year, selected a cohort of 22 together who worked on 20 POCs. And we had, of course, over 80 mentorship pairings. Last year was our biggest cohort of all, or rather to date. We had over 400 applications, had a cohort of 31, with over 100 mentorship pairings, out of which 30 proof of concepts were developed. Now, this accelerator program is for what we call growth stage fintechs, meaning at minimum, you need to have a prototype or MVP that you're ready to take to market. Unfortunately, this is not an ideation platform. So if you're still working on your idea, trying to build a team, I encourage you to think of our early stage program instead. This is really for those entities who have their team, have their product, and are looking to access the market. Now, I encourage everyone to submit your application when we're done the webcam, actually, because it's very easy to do. All you have to do is go to fintechhive.ae, that's our website. And on any page, if you scroll to the footer, you'll see a link that says register your startup. It's a button that effectively takes you to our application page. Our application does not take more than a couple of minutes at most to complete. Now, I urge you to try to submit as complete of an application as possible. There's a couple of fields there that I urge you to complete. One is a product URL link, and the other one is a website URL link. Though it's optional, please do submit a complete application, because when I do a review, I'd like to physically see either a wireframe or a demo of your product, or something to show that you're more than just an idea coming through as an application. That would really help the strength of your application. And I would say no rush. We are receiving applications until the beginning of June. So if you are still working on your prototype, please take a month or two, develop it, and submit a strong application instead of rushing to send something in and perhaps not being able to submit a strong application. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to type the questions in the button in your panel on the right. You'll see a speech bubble with a question mark in it. That is the method through which you can submit the questions. If you don't want to submit a question there, alternatively, you can reach out to me anytime. My email is jotted down at the bottom of this page. It was lovely to speak to all of you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at any time. I also urge you to follow FinTech Hive on our channels. We tend to post all program updates, as well as any updates FinTech Hive is doing throughout the way. So I do see some questions that have come in. Let me just pull them up and I'll address them to the entire group. Oh, there's quite a few questions that have come in. Okay, what is the difference between early stage and growth stage? So early stage, by our definition, means pre-market. Now, you could either be at ideation or have developed an MVP, but have not taken the MVP to market yet. Now, we define growth stage as someone who has an MVP. Now, it's not necessary that they are post-revenue, but rather the entrepreneur should be ready to take the prototype to market. Now, we allow pivots, absolutely. and it's very, very natural that a company will have one product proposition, go through the program, talk to some mentors, pivot in a month, talk to some other mentors, pivot the other month. That is absolutely okay. I've also previously had some companies merge during the program, because in a collaborative environment, you meet each other, you find synergies, and you decide to join forces. That is also absolutely okay. Let me move on to the next question. How long does it take to be regulated? Now, the DFSA have their own regulatory process. I can talk about a case study that I think was the fastest case to go into their sandbox, complete the regulatory sandbox process, and then be graduated. And that's a robo-advisor that came out of our 2017 program. I believe that they managed to enter the regulatory sandbox and graduate within 11 months, meaning that a year into operations, a year into coming to Dubai and joining the program, they were able to be a fully fledged financial services firm operating out of the D IFC. Let me move on to the next question. How can we apply for funding? We are at the initial stage and just devised a solution. Please guide. So D IFC FinTech Hive itself does not give any capital. And an important point I forgot to mention earlier as well, actually, is that we don't take any equity for anyone that joins the co-working space, nor that joins our flagship accelerator program. The D IFC Authority, however, does operate a FinTech fund. Now, anyone can apply to the FinTech fund, and I believe the website is fintechfund.difc.ae. You submit an interest and an application effectively, and a separate channel evaluates that application. We've actually collaborated with 2 VCs here in the UAE in order to review those applications. One company reviews early stage, the other company reviews growth stage. But nevertheless, separately to that, FinTech Hive does have a pool of funding partners comprising of investment companies and VCs, as well as the DIFC FinTech Fund. Now, naturally, if you're a part of the program, all these VCs want to know about you, so they will come to our events. Now, we don't guarantee that they will invest, but it is definitely a stepping stone. Now, the funding process, unfortunately, in the UAE does take a bit of a while. I hear it takes usually 9 months. So for anyone who is kicking off even, I recommend that you start these investor relations early, because by the time you are looking to, let's say, hire a team, having some pre-seed funding is definitely something important. Now let me move on to the next question. I've had a couple of people write to me that they can't hear me. If anyone has had any issues, attached is my email, so you can definitely listen to me. Okay, next question. Do you have an external incubation program? I'm afraid I'm not sure what is meant by external incubation. Now, we do have some accelerator programs that we operate outside of the DIFC, but that tends to be through a corporate engagement, and we don't market those as DIFC FinTech Hive programs. So if anyone on the line is a corporation looking to, let's say, get a white label operator, please drop me an email. I'd be happy to speak to you. So let me move into the next question. Blockchain money and crypto wallet, do they fit in the criteria of FinTech Hive? Blockchain, absolutely. In fact, we have had companies that utilize blockchain in all 3 cohorts so far, as well as within our co-working space. Crypto, unfortunately not, simply because the regulatory framework in the UAE is not very encouraging. So we tend to not like to waste time where we think there isn't real opportunity, neither us nor our corporate sponsors. So we have yet to have any fully crypto-focused companies come through our program, and that is just the nature of the regulatory market here in the UAE. The next question is, are you open to blockchain developer tools as a software? It depends. So you would need to submit an application, and this is something that I would have to review. I'd have to review your value proposition, as well as my corporate sponsors will need to review it as well and see that if there's merit in having it come through the accelerator program. The next question is, what stage should the startup be in order to enter the FinTech program? So the FinTech flagship program that I just took you through, it's minimum MVP in order to get admitted. And I will, in all the videos, in all the interviews, ask for a video interview and see some kind of thinking behind a prototype, whether it's wireframe or a live working demo. The next question is, a demo or prototype, is it required to have the backend and everything working, or the wireframes and all screens that explain the idea available is enough? So you would need to have the backend working by the time the program starts. Depending on the status you are at as an entrepreneur, I would prefer if you only have the wireframes ready, apply anyway, and we can review the wireframes and front end and kind of assume that you can build the back-end come program start date. Of course, depending on whether you have your tech team in-house or not, we'll also evaluate that. However, like I also mentioned, because there is still some time in our scouting process, feel free to work on the back-end in the next 2 months and submit the application, even if it's in the beginning of June. I'd rather you have the fullest application possible in order to strengthen the likelihood of your application making it through. The next question, what is Turnsheet? This is actually something that is required when you're fundraising. So for our companies who make it through the accelerator program, we'll be able to give you training during the bootcamp about VC and fundraising 101 effectively. So moving on to the next question, what is the last date to submit the application? There is a timeline slide that I had taken everyone through. Everyone dialed into this webinar will also get a copy of the webinar as well as the deck. So it's mid-June effectively. So moving on to the next question, do I have to be incorporated in the UAE to apply? No, you don't have to be. So our companies come from all over the world, and when they come onto this accelerator program, we don't require them to open an office here. And when the program ends, you can open an office within FinTech Hive if you want to. The facilities and options are there. However, we do also have a fair number of companies who continue to serve the relationships they've formed from wherever their HQ is or their main source of operations. Next question is, do you invest with D IFC fund to your accelerator startups on seed stage? So the D IFC fund focuses on early and growth stage companies. There's an independent panel that actually reviews the way the funds are invested. So you would need to be connected to those reviewers independently. What we do at FinTech Hive is create that bridge so we can introduce you to everyone. And of course, having gone through our criteria and screening process will be a benefit to your application. So on to the next question. Thank you for the presentation. You're welcome. What is the main difference between the two programs? What would be the best program for a FinTech app with already a pilot bank onboarded? I would say apply to the flagship accelerator program because that is the program we are scouting for right now. Given that you already have a pilot and a POC with a financial institution, absolutely this program is the one for you because it'll help you get access to even more banks to do multiple POCs with them. And then there's a scale-up program that we operate. We were supposed to have a round this April, but unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we have to postpone that. But the next cycle of that will be in Q4. So given that this flagship program is running right now, I would recommend that you definitely apply to be considered. And you can always apply for our scale-up program when the applications for that are being sieved through. Let me see if there's any more questions. It's quite a few questions. I'm quite pleased. Do you have any financial support during the program, such as expenses? So the program is free. We don't take any equity, but we also, in return, don't give any capital, whether it's tied to equity or not. We do expect the fintechs to cover the cost of being in Dubai during this program, but we're also very flexible. Because we focus on growth stage companies, when it comes to the mentorship phase, you don't need to be in Dubai 100% of the time. Depending on how many financial institutions you are paired up with, and the, let's say, convenience of you flying in and out, we're absolutely flexible to work with you, particularly for the companies who are based in the GCC. They often take day flights in and out in order to have their meetings. Now, of course, if you come from a further place, like last year I had a company come from Canada, he had to stay here for the full 3 months. We have some lifestyle partners who are part of FinTech Hive in order to make the cost of being in Dubai, let's say, more affordable. These are both transportation as well as hotel partners. So we do the best that we can, but no, there's no additional financial support that we provide. The next question, do you invest in the startups that successfully join the program? So we don't guarantee any investments from any of our funding partners. Again, FinTech Hive itself does not operate like a VC. We don't take any equity nor give any capital. But absolutely, our startups have successfully raised funds from multiple geographies, as well as across the D IFC FinTech Fund and other VCs. I believe that the total capital, or rather funds raised from alumni to date, has been around $18 million. So that is quite a sizable number, and definitely having the FinTech Hive stamp goes a long way with investors. The next question is, do you have any partners from the travel industry? No, we don't actually. So whoever submitted this question, if you would like to recommend anyone, my email is on the screen. Please feel free to jot down any ideas that you have on how we can support with that. So the next question, please let me know if we have already developed a product. However, we would like to be presented in the UAE market. Is this the right program for us to use? Yes, absolutely. You do not need to be a UAE-based company. You can come from all over the world. Roughly half of our alumni are international, from as far as Singapore to Canada. So please, even if you are abroad, apply. I'd love to have a talk with you. Okay, let me move on to any next questions. Do the companies that focus on the UAE market have some advantages during the selection process? What are some of the requirements in terms of UAE activities? So there is absolutely no bias on whether you already have some traction in the UAE or not. What I look for is the strength of the technology. Do you do something innovative? Now, you would need to make clear to me why you are looking to access the UAE market. So strategically, you need to tell me why the Middle East is attractive to you for us to think that you will be committed onto the program. But it is not necessary that you are in the UAE, and we have no biases towards existing UAE operations. So the next question is, what is special about the UAE jurisdiction? So just to give you a bit of an overview on the financial, let's say, landscape here in the UAE, is we have onshore as well as offshore financial regulators. If you operate in anything that touches the consumer world, you would need to be regulated by the UAE Central Bank. If you operate in, let's say, the corporate, SME, and even some aspects of retail, particularly wealth, then you can operate within the free zones here in the UAE. The benefit of the DIFC as a jurisdiction is that it's based on UK common law, and we have an independent financial regulator. So it's effectively a country within a country. We have our own laws, our own courts, and I'd be happy to talk to whoever submitted this question in a bit more detail if they drop me an email in case they had any specific questions they needed to know about the DIFC as a jurisdiction. The next question is, how much funding share has been invested from your $100 million fund into your portfolio startups, and what is the average ticket size? Unfortunately, I don't have that information actually. So I don't manage the fund. It is completely independent. And the reason why it's independent from FinTech Hive is because I work with fintechs and the opportunity of their technology. If you do something interesting from an innovation point of view, I want to work with you and I want to introduce you to my partners. Whereas the fund looks at scalability of business, not necessarily the tech nor the ability for the tech to thrive by working alongside banking partners here. The next question is, my startup already has an MVP and the software is put on, and all I need to do is digitize it and turn it into an app. How to apply the Islamic financials to the global economy. So we actually have a dedicated Islamic FinTech spotlight. One of our partners is the Dubai Islamic Economy Development Center. They're a part of the government of Dubai. And they basically want to create a Islamic economy as a whole, with Dubai as a center here in the Middle East. So we do have a set minimum number of Islamic fintechs that we admit in every year, and the DIFC provides the guidance required from a Sharia compliance point of view. So for whoever submitted this question, please apply. We are absolutely interested. We do have a dedicated spotlight for Islamic fintech. We have Islamic banks on board as well. We can provide mentorship if required. So we'd be more than happy to receive your application. Just sieving through some questions. Can the retail insurance marketplace operate under your program? Yes, absolutely. So we have had some insurtech companies join last year as well as the year before. They serve actually mostly retail rather than corporate. So for whoever submitted the application, I'd love to, for whoever submitted this question, I'd absolutely love to receive your application. And if you have any questions, you can drop me a line. The next question, is there a difference between the sandbox license and the final license, or is it the same? I'm assuming to whoever submitted this question that the final license means to be a fully fledged financial services firm. So yes, there is a difference. If you're admitted into the sandbox, basically the volume of your transactions is limited. The point of a sandbox is that you operate in a closed environment. Usually the volume and size of your transactions are limited and observed. And then if you basically go through the process and are eligible to graduate, they'll remove these restrictions and you can operate as a fully fledged financial services firm. So we have had 2 companies who are program alumni go through the sandbox and graduate. So it is, let's say, a very good opportunity. Often I hear from these entrepreneurs in order to receive feedback from the regulator on how best to shape their business model in a way that could withstand financial regulation. Okay, moving on to the next question. Do you cover travel and living expenses for startups from abroad? No, unfortunately, we don't. But that also being said, we are a free program. So we don't take any equity nor charge any fees for you to be a part of the program. Now, we ask that the fintechs who come from abroad see this as an investment. That's why it's always a requirement for me to know why you're applying to be a part of this program in the Middle East, because if you see the Middle East as a strategy for your business, then this is one of the best programs, in fact, the best program arguably that you can get into here in the region. Moving on to the next question. How many startups got their product implemented with a bank or insurance company at the end of the program? So we track number of POCs discussed during the program each year. Last year we had 30 POCs that were initiated within the program. The year prior to that was 20, and the year prior to that was 6. So quite a few, actually. My companies, though, always stay in touch with me, and they always come to me and say, hey, Shereen, here's an update with what's going on with Bank A or Bank B. So we don't track these numbers above and beyond the program, but the idea of the program is that it's a launch pad for the introductions to be made, for you to meet with these executives, and then, of course, these conversations continue above and beyond the program. So moving on to the next question, do you need a DIFC license to apply to the sandbox? So just to explain, if you receive a regulatory license from the DFSA, that always needs to sit on top of your business operating license that you should get from the D IFC Authority. Now, you don't need that license in order to apply, but even if you are admitted to operate in the sandbox, you would need to have the required licenses in place from both the D IFC Authority as well as the DFSA. So the next question is, if someone doesn't have a company registered on either side in Dubai or in the home country, so how should we proceed? You can apply. So you actually don't need to have a commercial registration in any country. In fact, I always tell all up and coming entrepreneurs to keep your costs lean. And until the point you are ready to incur an expense or receive a payment, you don't need a bank account, which means you don't technically need a license. So no, I don't require any for any of my applicants to have licenses, nor do I validate it. But of course, it's something every entrepreneur needs to get inevitably once they are ready to hit the market. Next question, do you have any kind of partnerships with compliance firms who can work with your fintechs to ensure they are regulatory compliant? Yes, absolutely. So part of the ecosystem that we operate is a category called compliance partners. So absolutely, we do that company rather offers one-on-one consulting windows of time with each of our fintechs looking for advice from them. That being said, our regulator, DFSA, also provides some one-on-one time with our fintechs. So if you want their advice as a regulator, you can also get that. But of course, both these types of opportunities are limited for the companies who are accepted onto the program. Let me see if there are any more questions. Yes. Are you considering fintechs that are working both on, for instance, fintech and gamification? Yes, absolutely. So if you are a gamification platform that has nothing to do with fintech, then no. But if you are a gamification fintech type of platform, yeah, absolutely. And I've seen we've actually in our cohorts have had fintech companies who gamify how to save, who gamify childhood financial literacy. So absolutely, I'd love to receive your application. Sounds like a fun business to work on. Okay, next question. Does it require full-time dedication during the program? I mean, if someone is an employee, would it be acceptable? So we have had some entrepreneurs get accepted onto the program who juggle other jobs and other full-time requirements. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people take sabbaticals, people take annual leave. You do, however, in the interview period, need to portray commitment. That also being said, the flip side of the coin is we have had entrepreneurs quit their jobs once they've got accepted into the program, and they've said to the interview panel during the interview, I'm willing to quit my job if I get onto the program. So it's a choice that we don't force you to make, but when you get accepted onto the program, you need to be committed to the program. So it's up to you how you want to manage it, particularly during the first month, which is bootcamp and speed dating. You need to be available every day. So pile up your annual leave and feel free to use it, to whoever has asked me this question. Okay, next question. Probably you don't invite all firms to the interview. So do you inform a company that they pass level immediately after your assessment, or do you wait until mid-July? We tend to wait until mid-July to inform everyone on the status of their application, because then we'll have an influx of people reaching out to us who want to hear about the status. So just because of the sheer volume of people who apply, everyone will get notified of the outcome by July. So the next question is, as an example of the previous question on retail insurance, FinMal is our marketplace. However, our business model runs across B2C, B2B, and B2B2C. Please do apply. We are open to all models. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of our fintechs pivot, whether it's depending on regulation or preference to access the market, and we accommodate pivots during the program as well. So moving on, the next question is, will this webinar be shared for others to view? So yes, I'll actually email a copy of both the deck as well as the recording to everyone who has signed on to the webinar, and you can feel free to share it. I just begun recording 5 minutes late, so you'll see a gap in that if anyone wants to review the recording itself. So I do apologize. So the next question is, if any startup is already running in Dubai but looking for a platform for expansion and international collaboration, what kind of opportunities do you offer? So good question, and that's actually a slide that I left out of this deck. But FinTech Hive has something called a global network of FinTech hubs and accelerators. And that's basically alliances we've made with other FinTech bodies around the world. And right now they're across North America, Europe, Middle East, and across Asia. Now, my motto is I can't be everywhere, but I can make friends everywhere. So I tend to make friends with other FinTech, either accelerator program managers or association managers around the world. Firstly, in order to help me with scouting, but also in order to provide and extend opportunities for the FinTechs in my network. So actually, even if you go to our website, I believe that there's a page called Global Reach, and you click on that, you'll be able to see our global network. And for any one of my FinTechs who are either in the co-working space or a part of the program, if they come to me and say, hey, Shereen, I'm interested in going to Istanbul, I see you have someone there. Hey, I'm interested in going to India, I see you have someone there. I connect them, and I vice versa also extend the opportunity for the FinTechs within the networks of the hubs within this alliance. Okay, let me move on to the next question. Does the entire management team of the FinTech startup have to be present throughout the whole program? No. So the way it works is I ask each company to nominate 2 senior representatives who are going to be the face of the company during the program. Now, I don't require both these faces to be there the entire time, but they can tag team. Now, the reason why I ask for 2 people to be nominated up front is because myself as a program manager, I need to know who's representing your company, and our corporate partners need to also know who is the face of that company. But I don't require both to be there the whole time. And often with growth stage companies, they like the opportunity to be able to tag team. So if one person has to do a meeting in one location, the other team is there, and vice versa. As long as one person is there when required, particularly important in month 1 for every day, that one person can even tag team amongst the 2. Let me move on to the next question. Do you have a business school partner, or do you work with business schools? No, actually, we don't have any academic partners right now. And that is actually for a reason. Within the D IFC, there's another subsidiary called the D IFC Academy, and that's where all training and academic activities take place. But that being said, if whoever submitted this question is a part of a business school or has an alliance with a business school, drop me an email. I'd love to meet you. I actually very often tend to host delegations by business schools. So I've hosted delegations from INSEAD, CAS, LBS. I've also spoken at these schools before about FinTech and FinTech trends in the region. So we do have a community proposition. We do like to encourage entrepreneurs who want to know more about FinTech to learn about FinTech. So if you're a business school and you want to host some MBA students or finance students, we're happy to have them. If you want someone from FinTech Hive to come over and meet them, we're also very happy to accommodate that. So moving on to the next question, can you find co-founders for startups or matchmake partners? Yes and no. So we don't officially do it, but by virtue of us being a community, people meet each other. In fact, last year, one of my participating FinTechs had 2 co-founders who met at FinTech Hive at one of our events whilst they were working on 2 separate businesses. They happened to meet, saw they had a common problem, and decided to work on it. So we don't officially do matchmaking, but by virtue of you coming to our events and being a part of FinTech Hive, you will naturally meet people. So the next question is, how much does it cost to get incorporated in DIFC? Is there a startup license? So yes, DIFC has a special FinTech license that is $1,500 for the year. It is not required to have the license in order to participate in the accelerator program, but it is required in order to be a part of the co-working space and to have FinTech Hive officially be a business address for you. Oh, sorry, I do apologize. The next question was something very regulatory focused. So whoever submitted the question regarding payments licenses, feel free to drop me an email. Basically, let me actually read out the question. The DIFC doesn't provide a license to operate a money service business yet, but it will issue such licenses in the near future. With that being said, do we need to have a central bank's license to operate in the UAE when we have a license issued from the DIFC? So yes and no, it really depends on your business. So we do provide one-on-one compliance clinics, like I said. That being said, DIFC is, the DFSA, our regulator, is also heavily involved in connecting with our fintechs who are accepted onto the program. So depending on your business model and the UAE landscape, we'd be happy to help you figure that out. And in fact, an important thing I haven't mentioned yet is that the DFSA, the regulator, sits with us during all our interviews in order to really give me the insights on the regulatory hurdles any company may or may not face. That way, if you're accepted onto the program, should there be anything that you need to be aware of, I'm able to transparently tell you this upfront before you commit to the rest of the program. There are some repeat questions. I'm just going to fast track through the repeat questions. Okay, the next question is, if you individuals come together and form a company and apply in this program, would you also provide some help with legal structure, company registration, etc. in the next stage? So we do within our ecosystem have actually a pretty large subset of partners called legal partners. These legal partners provide one-on-one legal clinics. So anyone who is looking to get legal advice can utilize these clinics. Now, at any point in time, if you need support on company registration, us as DIFC can also separately help you with that. I'm going to move on to the next question. Can I update my application or should I submit a new one? So no, you cannot update your application. I strongly encourage people to submit one strong application. But for whoever submitted this, go ahead, unofficially. I discourage it, but if it's a make or break, I'd rather see a strong application. So do feel free to. All right, let me move on to the next question. I'm getting some compliments saying thanks, Shereen, for the presentation. So for whoever has sent those thank yous, it has absolutely been my pleasure. I'm very passionate about working with young companies, entrepreneurs, especially here in the fintech space. The D IFC FinTech Hive Accelerator Program really is a good program, and I'm not just saying this because we operate it. It is the best business development you will do. Genuinely, the entire ecosystem comes together. The D IFC is a wonderful place to be. I also have some videos that I can share with some alumni testimonials. If you have any questions, drop me an email. My line is there. And I'd be happy to hear from you. Best of luck with everyone applying. Take care, have a lovely day, and please stay safe during these very unpredictable COVID-19 times. Take care, everyone.